Ladies and gentlemen, please take your seats.
You know, occasionally we're a little slow off the mark, but we get there when it counts. And if you are within the sound of my voice, that must mean you are in the seats with, once more, as always. My name is Dave Voigt, and I'm the host of this podcast, where we sit down with a wide-ranging variety of industry professionals and pick their brain about current projects, state of the industry, how they got started, and so very much more in a light and conversational fashion, because that's how we do it around here. And if you like how we do it, I'm assuming you do. You're listening to the podcast right now. You can find us basically wherever you find your podcasts. Apple, Spotify, Google, Amazon. It's all good. And plus, all of our episodes are archived over at our YouTube channel. Also, we would really love it if you would follow us on social media. You can do that either at Facebook, Twitter, or Instagram at either at In the Seats or at It's Podcast One for all sorts of updates. And finally, and most importantly, I do dare say, please visit us over at In the Seats, intheseats.ca, for all the latest and greatest movie news and reviews from the world of entertainment and beyond, and everything else in between, because we love talking about the moving image, and we love it when you read about it. So come pay us a visit. On this episode, we got a little bit more of that moving image for you that we love so much. We're talking about a CBC doc, which debuted on the service. Admittedly, a couple weeks back. We're a little late on this, but we got the distinct pleasure to speak with producer Nick Crowe about the new documentary on CBC Docs POV and the CBC Gem app called UFO Town. And it follows a UFO case out of West Carleton, Ontario, believe it or not. Yeah, they happened there too when a declassified document and video emerged that appeared to show a spaceship crash landing in a field in the area. The case went viral in a pre-YouTube and TikTok era when the X-Files was a hot commodity, and the UFO case attracted tourism to West Carleton and the attention of even Unsolved Mysteries, if everyone remembers that show. It's one of those things, you know, and the filmmakers here, they go back to the scene of the crash, or the crime as it were, and they sort of investigate the alien activity and sort of take it all in stride, because a lot of people believe it's a hoax, and some people believe it's some people believe it actually happened. But I mean, it's up to you to check out and watch, which I do recommend you do. But enjoy our talk with Nick, because we talked just a little bit about not only sort of the UFO lore, but sort of its place in pop culture. And I hope you enjoy our talk, because it's a good one. All right. Well, obviously, first off, just thank you very much for the time today. I really appreciate it.
Oh, I appreciate the interest. It's really gratifying when you get to the end of a year of making something that people are interested to hear about it, so thank you.
Now, I mean, walk me through, I guess, the origin for this, because, I mean, this is right up my alley. I love this stuff. Like, walk me through sort of what was sort of the kickoff to make UFO Town.
Yeah, I love this stuff, too. So I produced a film for CBC that aired 2 years ago called Spaceman. And Spaceman was a really successful show for them, and it was another UFO story. But I think a lot of UFO stories are filled with mystery and intrigue, but at the end of the day, you're left with someone who's seen lights in the sky or a distant object, and it's difficult to structure a story around it. So, briefly, Spaceman was the story of a mechanical genius who lived on the West Coast in the 70s and early 80s, and built his way up to designing and assembling a spaceship in his backyard. Couldn't get it to fly, left a note to his parents one morning saying he was going on this interstellar voyage, he was being picked up, and the guy was never seen again. So what was successful about Spaceman was that we were able to use sort of UFO lore and the sort of desire for belief and the culture that sprung up around the UFO phenomenon. We're able to explore that through this tangible story of a single guy and his desire to build this spaceship. So on the heels of that, and there are a lot of compelling stories of lights in the sky and mysterious circles and fields, but I happened upon the Guardian case, which was just filled with intrigue, where pre-internet you had this series of mysterious packages being sent out of the Ottawa area to a list of UFO researchers around the world. You know, again, you're pre-digital age, but very, very quickly word about this spreads, and now you've got Unsolved Mysteries and two other Fox series arriving in the area, Little West Carlton, to sort of find out what's going on, and then kind of this enduring mystery of no one knew who Guardian was to this day. So it felt like it had all of the intrigue and the mystery, but also a human story to tell along with it.
Well, I think that's really the angle and why this works, because, I mean, when I first read the synopsis, I would be like, okay, it's familiar material. It'll take an Unsolved Mysteries or like a half X-Files kind of vibe to it. And I mean, you and I will both admit that this is a cottage industry that has been well mined, but this felt original and fresh. And I'm kind of curious, while you're crafting it all, like, how do you sort of walk that line to try to give us something new but familiar all at the same time?
Oh, well, thanks. I'm glad you liked it, first of all. I mean, I think one of the great assets we had is that we were making the film for the CBC, and we knew that there was a willingness to explore the bigger issues. And I think the sort of central point where we knew we were onto something was, I did a couple of stories last summer as we were heading out to West Carlton with local papers. And from that point on, emails started coming in, and I still get them every week, from people in that area who had experienced something strange. So we went to look into the Guardian thing, but in the process found that there were all of these other regular people, your next door neighbors, the people you work with, that had had these inexplicable experiences around the same time in the same area. I mean, a very tight geographical area. So it allowed us to sort of explore these ideas of belief and this ongoing desire to know, is there life beyond our planet? So we weren't, because it was CBC, we weren't held to that, let's prove one way or the other that it's real or fake, or let's, those typical trappings that you've described.
Well, and I mean, it brings up sort of the line from those typical trappings, like, I want to believe. And I mean, I'm kind of curious, because we do want to believe. And I mean, what is it about stories like this, like for you as a storyteller and a producer, like, what do you think is the sort of that innate draw that draws us in? Like, no matter how crazy sort of the story evolves and gets, we still want to hang on to it.
Yeah, I think oddly enough, it's connected to, what I flagged as making these stories so difficult to tell, is that they don't usually end with someone finding a UFO or, getting a picture of an ET. So I think, as you grow up, all of these things that are mysterious are usually explained away to you. And I think this is sort of one of the last great mysteries. And the wondering what might follow from actual contact is an amazing thing. And, for me, I've been interested in this for almost 40 years now, and it's just the idea to be alive when we finally find out for sure if this is a real thing or not, it's really exciting. So I think there's something wonderful that there's still mysteries out there to be uncovered, genuine mysteries.
Is that what got you into this business? Sort of that, that young desire of looking up at the stars and wondering what if, and trying to find those stories out there that there are to tell?
Yeah, I think I've just always, I guess like a lot of us, I think most great stories are mysteries, but I've always loved those stories, whether it was, Loch Ness or UFOs or D.B. Cooper, where, wouldn't you love to know, and the speculation, if it wasn't one thing, it was another thing, and what might it have been? How might things have happened? And I think with the Guardian case, the thing that really, really started to stick with me was, if this was a hoax, who did it and why? And this was not something someone did off the cuff. This took time and it took effort, and they were all in, so to speak.
Is it the not knowing? Because I mean, if you had found an answer, or found an answer that we would have liked, like audiences would have been there's no resolution with these stories. You know what I mean? Like, is that what draws us in? Sort of that mystery to it.
I think so. I guess it's that cliche where nothing is known, everything is possible. But I think we're very much in an era now where, like, the subject of UFOs has gone from the realm of the tinfoil hat into, you've got Avi Loeb at Harvard, who's been studying, I'm going to check my phonetic pronunciation here, the interstellar object that he's been tracking, Oumuamua. And, Avi Loeb at Harvard, everyone has pricked up their ears because his feeling is we ought to really consider that this phenomenon is real, because we ought to prepare ourselves in the event that it does come to pass and we do find out. So I think, we've entered this realm where it's getting serious conversation around it, and serious people are starting to think about it, and the people that do come forward, like those in our film, are not being dismissed as, imagining things or being kooks, because our experience in talking to these people is they were nothing but believable and sincere, and in fact, it took a lot of courage to come forward after all these years, because there's a great fear of being ridiculed. So we were left feeling that whatever they had experienced was authentic without knowing exactly what that might have been.
And you know what? Conversely, it almost kind of authenticates sort of the pop culture love of it, because these people are credible scientists, and they have real things to say, but at the same time, yeah, they're all fans of X-Files, they're all fans of Unsolved Mysteries. It really almost closes the pop circle loop, really.
I love that. That's a great way to put it. I think, we've lived in this realm of the high and low culture, and I think, maybe not so much anymore. When you hear someone like Avi talking about ETs, it's amazing and it's validating.
No, and you know what? I think that's the real magic of a UFO Town, and I can't wait for people to see it, because as a fan of this stuff, I was transfixed, and it's definitely going to get an audience, man, because it's definitely hits all the right notes for people who love this material.
Thank you. Thanks. Yeah, I think, we fell in love with the region too, and I think those haunting landscapes, you feel that it is a place that you could see something.
And I mean, those haunting landscapes are everywhere, so go find another one and make another one. I can't wait to see it.
Thank you.
And don't forget to visit our friends over at Bay Street Video for all your DVD, Blu-ray rental, or purchasing needs this summer, as they are still open for curbside and some mailing delivery as well. Over at 1172 Bay Street, Toronto, Ontario, Canada, you can give them a call at 416-964-9088. That's 416-964-9088. Or send them an email at baystreetvideoto@gmail.com for any of your DVD and Blu-ray needs.